What's going on, everyone? It's Chris here from Friendly Frenzy Games, and today I'm going to quickly show you how to get the third rarest achievement and trophy in Pacific Drive. This one's called With the Top Down. Now, the premise of this achievement is simple. You're going to need to complete a run with at least 3 junctions and without using any body panels, doors, and/or bumpers on the car at any point. Now, to start us off, even though your route is going to look likely a little different than mine, I'm going to highlight some of the things that I looked for when planning the simplest route possible to complete this achievement. First, since we know we need to have at least 3 junctions, I looked for 3 easy maps that I could string together. As a note, I would highly recommend having your scanning antenna at level 3 so that you're able to open up as many different paths as possible, and I would also highly recommend having the junction restabilizer crafted and placed as well so that you have the ability to re-roll junctions along your path that are less than desirable. For my route planning strategy, I noticed first 2 highway junctions, B1 and C3, that were both outside of the storm by default, so I started here. Highway junctions tend to be a little easier. They're more straightforward and typically offer less hazards at the cost of less resources, which is ideal here for setting up to unlock this trophy. Another 2 benefits of these were that their junction conditions both affected fuel. Now, I'll explain why this is a good thing when we discuss car setup. Lastly, since I didn't want to have more than 3 junctions, I was really only left with E6 as my starting point, which worked out totally fine because its junction condition was heavy fog, and this one is very easy to work with. Now, keep in mind, the anomalies that you're going to face in these junctions really don't matter too much, as you're not going to have defense against them. If possible, try and choose a string of 3 maps where you're most comfortable dodging the specific anomaly types. One thing to mention though is as you push through the maps in the mid zone and deep zone, the gates are eventually going to take more energy to open. If you can string together a route in E and G sectors, this would likely mean that you're only going to need to stop 1, 2, maybe 3 times before you can escape. So keep this in mind as another solid option to completing this achievement. Next comes the car setup. For this, you're basically putting aside everything that you've learned in the game up to this point and going in bare bones. With such limited preparation required, there's only so much to say here, but what I would suggest and how I set up was to A. Have the limb chipped engine installed to make this run as fast as possible. B. Have at least all-terrain tires to give you great balanced rating on all surfaces. C. Use the sturdiest headlights that you can. I used reinforced to absorb as much damage as possible. And lastly, D, probably maybe the most important, is add an ion shield to your roof rack to grant you protection from the radiation damage when its ability is active. This is because with no panels, your character is going to take radiation damage while driving, and as mentioned before, this does get stronger as you push through the mid zone and deep zone maps. If you remember my earlier note about these specific junctions affecting fuel, this is going to be a good thing for us because although we can't have panels, doors, or bumpers on the car, we can still pile on a bunch of equipment, like we did with the ion shield. For fuel specifically though, I added a fuel reservoir on the roof with an expanded backseat tank in one of the seat racks. I'd crafted a large fuel can and filled it, stored it in the trunk storage as well, all to ensure that we would have enough fuel to take us through 3 maps and so that we would have the capacity to mitigate the rapid loss of fuel from those junction conditions. For the last few pieces of equipment, I chose to add a high capacity battery to the other seat rack, and this was to make sure that we would be able to store enough power so that we could keep the ion shield running for the duration of the trip. Obviously here too, we're going to need to beef up our power generation, so I outfitted the side racks with a lightning rod, hydro generator, mini turbine, and a solar panel, just so that we could generate energy a little bit for whatever condition we face in these junctions. Now that the route is planned and your car is as set up as it's going to be, make sure to stuff your trunk storage with a few mechanic and sealant kits in case of a flat tire, and you're really ready to take to the streets. There's no real strategy here to ripping through the junctions aside from taking shortcuts, stop as little as possible, and make sure to dodge all of the anomalies as best you can. I'm hoping that this short guide helped you to get an achievement that's collected by less than 1% of Steam players. If it did, be sure to drop us a comment and give this video a like. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, check out Friendly Frenzy Games for much more gaming content, and subscribe there if you like what you see.